So as we just heard, preparations for APEC are in full swing. Now here on the Culture Wave, we have been introducing the APEC host city Gyeongju numerous times as a city with 1,000 years of history, rich in culture and heritage sites. But did you know that Gyeongju is also a beloved backdrop for Korean films and dramas? Let's talk more with Jae Soh, professor and filmmaker at the Seoul Institute of the Arts, who is connected online with us now. Professor Soh, hello. Hi, Professor.
Hi. Nice to be back.
Great to have you. Now, Professor Soh, Gyeongju is a representative city of Korea with deep historical and cultural value. It's also the filming location for various movies and dramas. So first, what do you think makes Gyeongju such an appealing city for content makers?
Well, usually when people ask me, besides Seoul, what city they would like to visit, I always recommend Gyeongju because it is such a traditional city. It's the ancient capital city of Silla Kingdom. And also, when I look at it, I think of Hwangnidan or Daeryongwon or Cheomseongdae or Bulguksa. These are real historical sites actually recognized by UNESCO. So it's a kind of a mix of the old and new, and that's the reason why a lot of dramas and movies have been using Gyeongju as a location for a lot of their storytelling.
Definitely. And Gyeongju often does serve as the main setting for historical dramas, 사극 in Korean. So how is the city being kind of portrayed within those productions?
Well, there are some famous ones. The King, the Eternal Monarch is a drama that features scenes from Gyeongju Bridge. It's a modern Korean emperor who passes through a mysterious portal into a parallel world. That's a story. There's another one called Gokdu, Season of Deity, that came out in 2023, and basically the Seongdae lighthouse was featured in the filming. And actually, I don't know if it's a 사극, a historical, but Mr. Sunshine is probably the most famous drama starring Lee Byung-won, and that was actually in the historical sort of the forest of Gyeongju, and then also the Namsan Mountains there was a key location for filming this drama as well.
Right. Professor Soh, you mentioned that Gyeongju is a city that represents the old and the new of Korea. So now let's talk about some contents that are set in modern days. Could you give us some examples of that? And also, how does the city Gyeongju actually play a role in expressing the everyday sceneries as well as emotions through those works?
Well, there's an actual drama recently, last year that came out. It's called 조립식 가족 in Korean, Family by Choice. And I didn't even know that this drama was shot in Gyeongju, but it's actually modern Gyeongju in the city. And then there have been movies actually where there's a movie called The 20th Century Girl. It's a coming-of-age romantic drama that was actually, it depicts the love sort of between high schoolers, and it was set in Gyeongju. And then there's a movie called Gyeongju, a 2014 movie by director Jang Yul. He's a Chinese-Korean director. He actually featured the whole city. The name of the movie, it starred Park Hae-il and Shimina. And in this movie, in the poster, I remember, he's riding on a bicycle with Shimina on his back and going through the streets of Gyeongju. And then there's an old movie that I really like called Kick the Moon, which is like 2001. And it's basically the Korean title is Shilla의 달방. And it's a South Korean comedy movie that was about a gangster that sort of reminisces about his past. And it was all set in Gyeongju, in a high school in Gyeongju. So I think one of the cool things about sort of setting the location of your movie in Gyeongju is that it kind of brings back the feelings of sort of ancient Korea, but in modern times as well. So you're living somewhere where it's sort of like, I would say, it's not really the countryside, but it's a very traditional sort of representation of a Korean sort of identity. So I think, especially with sort of everybody's sort of interest in Korean culture these days through K-pop and things like that, I think Gyeongju is definitely a city that I think a lot of tourists are attracted to, and also film and drama people as well.
And speaking of K-pop, K-pop Demon Hunters recently, of course, is still a big boom. We've been talking about it today as well on K-Enter News. But this has also garnered attention because representative Korea's traditional culture has been kind of interpreted in a modern way. So do you think that this could be a cultural opportunity for traditional cities like Gyeongju for further contents?
Actually, it's really happening right now because of APEC. I think the focus is there on the city, and I heard a lot of people are visiting. As you know, with K-pop Demon Hunters, because of the design in the animation itself, where they show a lot of traditional Korean design, you have the tiger and things like that. And in Seoul, there's the National Museum that, people go to see, but it's not really a favorite tourist spot for, foreign people. But now it's like the shop where you can buy these items are always sold out. There's lines for it. And I think the natural extension, even though Gyeongju doesn't come out in K-pop Demon Hunters, I think there's definitely a boost in tourism, and people are interested in traditional Korean design, Korean culture, and Gyeongju is one of the most traditional cities in Korea. So I think the fans of K-pop Demon Hunters are definitely flocking to Korea to visit those sites.
And I mean, there are talks about a sequel from K-pop Demon Hunter, so maybe director Maggie Kang could get some ideas from APEC and Gyeongju as well,
Yes,
and we might be
definitely.
seeing some new backdrops for the
I
next
know.
KDH movie.
Looking forward to that.
Maybe, yeah.
And Professor, as you've mentioned, Gyeongju is filled with World Heritage sites like Bulguksa Temple and also Seokguram Grotto as well. How might these traditional sites serve as the backdrops or sources of inspiration for global content creation?
Well, they're visually stunning sort of architecture and also culture. It's very specific to Korea. It's very rich in Buddhist mythology and the Shilla dynasty. And these sites are used in films and television, even video games, I think, and literature to offer authentic aesthetics. And also, there's like a kind of wish to go back in time for a lot of people. I think they call it retro, but when you bring something that's traditional back in modern times, you have a very visually stunning sort of situation happening. So it's definitely a source of inspiration for a lot of narratives and themes. And I think more so in content right now, instead of trying to create something new, one of the best things to do, and I think Maggie Kang with K-pop Demon Hunters definitely saw to it, is that I heard that her team of animators actually came to Korea and they visited all the sites that came out in the movies. And I think, I know that, for example, one of the cool things about Gyeongju is it's in Gyeongsangbuk-do, and they actually have a campus called the Webtoon campus there in Gyeongju as well. So there's a sort of a push for the city to become more cultural in terms of using its identity as sort of an icon of tradition in Korea to sort of modernize that as well.
And now in 2 weeks, world leaders will be gathering in Gyeongju for the APEC meeting. So what significance do you think is this international event when it comes to Gyeongju being the stage for a culture and diplomacy meeting?
Right. I think there's multiple opportunities for global investment in Korean content, films, K-pop, K-dramas, games, etc. And I know, for example, I have another faculty friend that's coming over to APEC actually he's a keynote speaker, and he's a musician, so he's very interested in crossing sort of traditional Western music with Korean music. And as you know, K-pop Demon Hunters, the music from that has really done well in the Billboard, pop charts as well. And I think just focusing the city of Gyeongju through APEC, we have world leaders coming here, and so it's a really good opportunity for people to come in. Gyeongju, even though our country is not that big, it's not that far from, if you take the KTX, you're basically in Seoul the next minute. So investment opportunities, ways to sort of do a lot of collaborations. I think it's a terrific time to be sort of pursuing those things as well.
Right. And also because Gyeongju has been, the place to film some of the Korean historical dramas and films as well. But what efforts do you believe are necessary for Gyeongju to establish itself as a city for film and culture going forward in the future?
Well, Gyeongju is actually, I guess like Busan is such a big city nearby that you have the film festival and all that. So I think One of the things that Gyeongju did was, they, as I mentioned before, the Gyeongbuk Webtoon campus is funded by the city of Gyeongju, and basically it's a facility located in Gyeongju and serves as a hub for webtoon development and training and distribution. And also they do have a Gyeongju Hwarang Youth Short Film Festival there as well. So they do. There's inklings of that sort of opportunities for filmmakers and drama to go over there. But I think more than like trying to emulate something nearby like Busan, I think what Gyeongju offers is a really great opportunity to find something. I mean, if you go to every city in Seoul and the major metropolises, they kind of, the architecture start to look the same. You know, a lot of like buildings and things like that. But I think you go to Gyeongju, you know, it still has a lot of burial sites. The city itself is uniquely sort of designed to include what's already there as an ancient sort of entity and a sort of a symbol of identity for Korea. And so naturally, if you're making a movie about Korea, I think a lot of foreign productions would be happy to go shoot there as well. So I think the city of Gyeongju is really trying to promote themselves doing these kinds of ventures.
Hearing from what you're saying, Professor Soh, I guess there's a much bigger variety of things you can, you know, experience in Gyeongju when it comes to content, especially the short film festival. That's something new that I haven't heard of before. Now, before we let you go, Professor Soh, because APEC is coming up, you did mention a number of Korean movies or dramas that are set in Gyeongju. So for people, maybe the delegations that are going to visit Gyeongju, would you have a recommendation of maybe one movie or a drama that would be great to watch before you come to Gyeongju?
Well, I'm going to say the obvious.
Gyeongju?
Watch the movie Gyeongju.
Right.
Number one, it's you know, hard to forget that. And then I would say, if you've not already watched it, definitely watch Mr. Sunshine, because that's a terrific drama and it is set in Gyeongju as well. So I would say those two things.
Right. That would make a trip even more fun if
Right.
you can recognize those places while you're there.
Oh,
Well,
sure.
thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Soh, for your insights today. Hope to see you again in the studio very soon, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Professor.
You too. Thank you.
And thank you, Bella, as always. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
Yes, I'll see you back next week.